So can I introduce Melanie Malig-Spranz to you? She is the Quality Control Manager at BD Farm Paris Creek. With a background in medical science and food quality, Melanie heads the Quality Control Department at BD Farms Paris Creek. Her pride is in the farm and the continuing high level of quality accreditation that they have. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about the farm because it's quite amazing, and I know Melanie's going to tell us more. BD Farm Paris Creek has an outstanding reputation as one of Australia's finest producers of award-winning dairy products. They have set a benchmark in demonstrating that commercial viable production from paddock to plate can be achieved without the modern, cheaper methods. So without those methods. The business takes great pride in stating that there is nothing artificial on our land, with our herd, or in our products. And today Melanie is going to present to us on the hard work and determination that has been behind the success of BD Farm at Paris Creek. Please join me in welcoming her.
Hello and welcome. My name is Melanie Malig-Spranz, and I'm the Quality Manager at BD Farm Paris Creek. Thank you. If you know Uli and Helmut, I'm Uli and Helmut's daughter-in-law, so I married into the family a few years ago, and I'm working for BD Farm Paris Creek since 2010. My background is German. Same as Uli and Helmut, so that's why I do have an accent, in case you have noticed. Today I will talk about Uli and Helmut's vision, what they actually wanted to do when they came to Australia, and their dream about becoming organic farmers, as well as I'm touching base on what is actually biodynamic farming and what is involved. And then I also talk about what we are actually doing. And I'm sure some of you actually know our products, some might not, but I will touch base what we're actually doing, and you get a bit of an inside view as well with some pictures. Now, what did, so Uli and Helmut came to Australia in 1987, and as they wanted to create a really healthy environment for their children. So they weren't happy in Germany anymore, and they would have not been able to afford also a farm in Germany, so they thought Australia is the place to be. So they traveled around and to find a good farmland and to create an organic, healthy environment for their children. And they also wanted to create, that is a little bit later, a meaningful and enjoyable workplace for their future employees, as well as the dairy farmers. So they wanted to create some sustainable farming and also a secure farming for the dairy farmers, that they have a secure source where they can supply the dairy as a milk too, and on a long-term basis. Another thing I wanted to show, food manufacturing can actually be environmentally friendly, is commercially achievable without having too much impact on the environment. So that's Uli and Helmut Spranz, if you know them, on the bottom. So again, they bought the farm in 1987. Originally, the land size was 165 acres, and they had 40 cows. Now, over the years until now, they converted, it's not their own, but they converted over 12,000 hectares to a biodynamic organic farmland. This includes dairy, grain, and also hay production as well. We're getting milk currently from 8 suppliers, which makes up a total of 2,500 cows. So the first thing what they did when they bought the farm, they converted the farmland to biodynamic organic farming land because they weren't quite happy with their conventional approach. So why did they choose Paris Creek? You see the sign there. So they actually just drove past by accident 30 years ago. and saw the sale sign on the farm, and I thought, oh, that's actually quite great. It's actually green. It's close to Adelaide. It was close, or it's still close to a Waldorf school, and so I wanted to have the kids going to a Waldorf school. And also there was good water source on the farm, so we have 2 fresh water bores, and the climate, because it's quite European up there. So we still have the seasonal changes. We got some winter, we got some summer. It doesn't get set dry. So they really thought that's the place to be, basically. So the first things they did, so they looked at the farm, what they can improve first. So the previous owner, he had a very conventional approach, and all the dairy manure went actually down the Paris Creek, which they weren't really happy about it. Actually, they thought it's quite a crime to put all the good liquid manure down a creek. So what they did then is install 2 concrete wastewater tanks. One you actually can see on the left-hand picture, and they install biodynamic flow forms as well. Now, the good thing with the concrete tanks is everything is contained, nothing goes in the groundwater, so we don't actually contaminate any water sources on the farm. Now, the flow forms, which some of you might have seen, some of you might not have seen. So what they do is they actually put oxygen in the water, which helps breaking down any pollutants in the water, and also gives the bacteria some oxygen to grow. And therefore, the liquid manure is much more richer and has much more better bacteria in it as well. We also add biodynamic preparations in the wastewater to enhance the bacteria growth as well. And on that little thing which swims, it's an oilite, which actually makes sure that there is no settlement at the bottom and on the top, so it's all very well mixed. Initially, they collected the wastewater for over a few weeks, and in springtime they sprayed it out. At the moment, we are spraying it out basically daily, because we actually have grown quite big now. So what is biodynamic farming? It was developed by Rudolf Steiner in 1924. He comes from Germany. And why did he develop? So he had a group of farmers over there, which they weren't quite happy with, or they needed a solution. A lot of farmland was basically used up from all the farming. The soil was depleted. They didn't know what to do anymore. So they were looking for a way to find a good management system which doesn't have an impact on the environment and also on the waters. So he developed that farming approach, which doesn't have any chemical inputs, which doesn't use any fertilizers, no pesticide, no GMOs. And the outcome is we're getting a rich soil with microorganisms, which provides everything the plant needs by itself. So biodynamic organic farming, it's a holistic way, and everything interacts by itself. So the animals, the plants, it's all one system. We don't need any outsourcing input in the farmland. So we get a sustainable, complete environment which works by itself. Now that's a bit sort of hard to imagine, I guess, but I come back to that in a little second. We also use specific farming techniques. So, for example, we make special composts. Now, one big thing is we don't actually turn our compost. We do put natural air tunnels at the bottom, and we build it up and we layer it. So we put layers of cow manure in, we put layers of greenet, and it's all layered up and then left for a certain period of time. And with the twigs, and we got natural airflow going through that, and we don't actually need to turn it around. We also use biodynamic preparations, which you might have heard, and you actually can see them made at the bottom. So on the left-hand side, you can see the cow manure preparation being made, which for some of you might look funny, or it might be something which is not something you see every day. So what we actually do, we actually put cow manure in horns and we bury them for half a year, and then we unbury them again, and then we got natural fertilizer, basically, in a way. So what we do with school children sometimes, we give them around, we take some cow manure, we give it in their hands, and we ask them what is it actually, and they never can guess it's actually cow manure. It's really nice soil which smells beautiful. You could not imagine that it used to be cow manure, and stinky and smelly as well. So biodynamic versus conventional. Like I said before, it's all a bit, so biodynamic looks at the whole sort of, the farm is one ecosystem and everything is by itself, and you don't need any input from outside. Now, conventional is a very reactive approach where, you get a weed, you need some spray, you kill it. That's what we don't like to do. On the bottom, that's actually, the picture is taken within a few seconds apart. So the conventional picture is our neighbor, and the biodynamic is our farm. So in the middle, there's actually our factory where we manufacture our dairy products. And I don't have a pointer, but in the middle of the conventional picture, there's the Paris Creek. And it goes along where the other tree line, our tree line is. And you can see our farmer, or our neighbor, used a lot of pesticide and got rid of all the native vegetation he could get rid of. And sort of all his land is dry. He used a lot of pesticides. Everything is dead, basically. While if you look at ours, we tried to put native plants in. We tried to keep the native flora and fauna going. And therefore, we actually got green paddocks without even watering them. Now, if you have ever asked what's actually the difference between biodynamic and organic, and is there any difference, and why biodynamic, basically? So organic still has a very conventional approach, a very reactive approach. So they still use fertilizers, they still use pesticides and fungicides, but they're all organically approved, which is great in a way, but that's what not biodynamic is about. Just imagine, and I'm just going to use an example. You use Cooper Pedy, okay? So many years ago, we started mining industry. So it's a town which started up with mining, and then obviously they thought, oh, we need a dairy farmer, we need a vegetable farmer, we need a baker, we need a butcher, we need a tailor, we need a locksmith. And they created the town which works by itself. And it was very healthy, and they didn't need any outsource input from any other one. So they could have survived just by themselves. Now, they also created a school to have some good education for the children. But what actually happened, there was a really smart child. He thought, oh, I can do everything better. I go to the big town, to Adelaide, and I can bring much cheaper goods to Cooper Pedy. I can go to China, I can bring clothes from China, I can get the cheap milk, I can get the cheap beef, I can get all the cheap vegetable, and I'm going to open up a supermarket in Cooper Pedy. So that's what he did. And he went back, he opened it, and obviously people thought it's great. But what actually happened is that the dairy farmer got out of business, the beef farmer got out of business, the baker went out of business, and the whole town basically died. So now what has that to do with biodynamic farming? So if you see Cooper Pedy like how it was, all sort of by itself, didn't need any help from outside. That's what biodynamic farming is. It doesn't need anything. It has all the healthy microorganisms, it has all the healthy worms, it has the good bacteria in the soil. It doesn't need any outsource input. While when you actually put outsource input in the soil, like for example, you put fertilizers in, you put fungicide in, what actually happens, all the bacteria goes away, because what should they do? They already got it, like they get outsourced things there, like the cheap clothes. So they don't need to work anymore, so they leave. And therefore you get actually soil which is not as healthy as if you do biodynamic farming. So what are we doing regarding herd management? So that's just an example how we apply biodynamic organic farming. So we want really diverse pastures. So in a square meter, we want 10 to 15 varieties of plants. And for conventional farmers, they might see, oh, they're growing weeds over there. What is it doing? But we actually don't. We actually do want some weeds there, as long as they're not getting out of control. Obviously, we don't want salvation chain or anything, but we do want certain weeds to grow, because weeds actually can be quite healthy, and they actually can be also considered being herbs. So if you look at marshmallow, which is obviously a weed, but it actually does have some fertility properties as well. So it's the same as for Platago. Obviously, you don't want that. We don't want it like in a massive amount as well. But in a sort of a small amount, it can be inflammatory for the cows as well. So we do want weeds in a way, but we just don't want a massive amount from a certain point of weight. Then we would have to, look into that as well, why we actually have that. We also want to make sure the cow has a balanced diet. So it needs green pastures. That's the main thing our cows get. So they're out in the green and they get some green grass. But they also need a little bit of hay for their digestion. The same as for grain, to keep the proteins up. A lot of times we get, actually, the consumer asks, are your cows 100% grass-fed? And they're not. They're 90% if you consider hay as grass. But they do need grain, because otherwise they're not going to be healthy, because obviously we do take their milk, and if you just eat vegetables, you might not be healthy 100% either. So they do need that balanced diet, and that's why we do feed a little bit of grain. We do strip grazing, as you can see in that in the middle picture. And that's important, that every day the cows do get a bit of fresh grass, because what you obviously don't want is the cow eating their own poo. So we want to avoid that. So every day they do get a bit of a fresh strip of grass. We don't like dams, cows standing in dams. We only use water troughs. So if we got a dam on the farm, it's usually fenced off. It's part of the organic biodynamic standard as well, so cows are not allowed to drink out of dams. The reason being, a cow stands in the dam and poos in the dam, and you wouldn't want to drink toilet water either, do you? So it's very important that cows do get fresh water. We also don't do artificial insemination, so we do put bulls in the herd, which just do it naturally, and we do rotate the bulls around between our farms, so it's all looked after. And the aim in total is basically to get a healthy cow, which is not producing 30 litres, which a conventional farmer want, because they want to produce a lot of milk. We are happy with just 15 litres to 20 litres. That's fine. And our cows won't give me either. So what else do we do on our farm? So you can see that's our driver from the farm. Part of the biodynamic organic farming is also to look after the native habitat. So you can't just do Western farming and destroy all the flora and native fauna. So Australian is not made just for Western farming. You would just destroy everything. So we need to have at least 15% of native vegetation, which we do build tunnels, and the borders are usually with native plants, if you remember the Greek as well. So we try to put native plants and bushes in that provide shades for our cows, as well as they provide a good habitat for small birds, animals, the fish in the creek. So we do want to make sure we keep that all going as well. We're not just taking from the land, we give something back to that as well. Over the years, Helmut and Uli always wanted to make sure we get actually more farmers on board, and not just because we need the milk, but also to convert more organic land So our neighbours initially, they were actually quite inspired by us because our paddocks were green and their paddocks were not green in summer. So they were coming and knocking on Ulli's and Helmut's door and saying, "What are you doing differently? What are you doing?" And so Ulli and Helmut started to do workshops to show the farmers, to new farmers, our neighbours, what we're actually doing. And the most amazing things they actually found that our soil is much more humus rich, it's much more porous, it actually smells good. So you take it and it's not a piece of dirt, it actually has quite a good smell to it, and that's what most of the people love when they come, because they're such amazed what actually the soil can be different to a conventional soil. BD Farm Paris Creek. So Ulli and Helmut started again in 1987. They started with dairy farming. That's how they got started. And then over the years, there was a little demand for milk there. So they packed the raw milk back then still in the boot of the car, drove to the Waldorf school and sold the raw milk out of the car, just with towels on top. So that's how they started. And then they sold some milk to Hilton Hotel, and then they said, "Oh, can't you just make cream?" And then they started to make cream, and because they had European backgrounds, they started to make quark, if you know that. That's like a type of cottage cheese, initially made in the bathtub, quite easily made there. And they also started to make yogurt. And eventually, the demand was getting so big that they were saying, "Oh, we actually can't do it just in a bathtub anymore, so we actually need to build some proper facilities there." So 2001, they built the first part of the factory, which was 1,400 square meters, which gave them a warehouse, cold storage, a proper pasteurizer, a proper production facility. So in the left-hand corner, you actually can see that was quite a small building initially. In 2007, over the years, we took more milk farmers on board, and actually what happens that in spring flush, we get much more milk in. And because the milk otherwise was quite stable, the market, we didn't know what to do with the extra milk. So we thought about, let's actually make some hard cheese and some soft cheese because they have much longer shelf life. And that's what they did. So 2007, they built a cheese factory, especially to have the excess milk put in a long shelf life product. Later on, in 2013, they started an energy-saving project. Ulli's and Helmut's approach is always to improve any carbon emissions, any energy levels they can reduce, they do want to reduce. So in 2013, we got some energy-saving project, and part of that actually was that in 2014, we installed a lot of a big solar system with solar hot water and also solar for power, which you can see on the right-hand picture. Our complete roof now is full with solar panels, which provides around 35% of our energy for processing now. Yes, this year was quite an exciting year. We decided to build on once again. Hopefully it's the last time. So we built it on another bit of the factory because we actually have outgrown the other factory once again. We needed bigger cold rooms, we needed a bigger warehouse, and we also installed a new bottle filler to keep up with the demand. That's our product range, if you don't know it. So we produce plain milk, we produce flavored milk, we also produce yogurt and quark, soft and hard cheeses, and we do butter as well. Now that's a little sneak peek in our production. So on the left and on the top, that's our pasteurizer, which was installed in 2014. And the big sort of round things, that's a separator and something called a bactrifuge. And on the bottom, you can see our yogurt being filled. Our yogurt is very different to other yogurts you might find on the market because it really only is milk and cultures. We don't add anything. We don't put skim milk powders in it. We don't put any pectins in it. We don't put any gelatins in it. So if you haven't had it, it's much more runnier than an other yogurt. So if you ever have one, that's why it's more runny, because it's only milk and cultures you actually get. That's the cheese factory. So on the left-hand top side, you can see hard cheese being made. So that's the cheese curd. And then the cheese curd is put in the cheese press, and we got round ones and square ones, whatever we want to make. If we want to make cheddar, we put squares in it. And if we put round ones, if we make Gouda, we put rounds in it. Now that's our new range. So we actually, finally, for some people probably thought, oh, that was far way overdue. We're actually launching new packaging. And now I have to excuse, the PS instead of PP is actually other way around. So it's polypropylene cups now instead of polystyrene cups. The reason being is actually polypropylene is recyclable and polystyrene is not. So we're swapping our yogurt tubs, plus we're going to get a new design, which is a little bit fresher and not as outdated as our old ones is. Now, the other good thing, we looked at it, actually we are sourcing from a local producer from Adelaide, which is very important for us because that, again, keeps transport down and the emission for transport. We also try to do that with our milk bottles, but we haven't found anything which we can use in Adelaide at the moment as yet. And then something you probably haven't seen, that's our new range, which is coming in a couple of months with new flavors. So keep an eye on it if you're interested in that. So why do people actually buy our products? Because like the naturalness of our product. Some people claim our products don't have chemically taste in it, that they feel it's made more naturally. We try to put as less processing in our products as possible. We try not to, or we actually try not, we actually don't homogenize our product. We only pasteurize, which is unfortunately a legal requirement. So we do pasteurize our products, but we don't homogenize it. What's the difference? Pasteurize is just the heat treatment to make sure the bacteria, the pathogens are gone, while the homogenization is actually pressing through the milk through, if you imagine a sieve, and destroying the fat particles, which then makes the product more stable and last longer, which supermarkets like, but therefore the body can take it in and it's actually not that healthy for you. We want to make sure our products are environmental friendly, so we try to use different chemicals and less chemicals as normal in normal processing facilities. We try to support our farmers, so we have farmers which have started with us from the beginning, and over the years we converted, almost each year we started to convert another organic farm. And also the animal welfare is very important. So some people really like us because we don't dehorn our cows. We leave the bobby calves with the mothers as much as we can. So we try to keep it all natural and as natural as possible. So what are the benefits? The benefits are that you get a product which is higher in vitamins, better carotenes, and higher in antioxidants, and also higher levels of omega-3 in the milk products. I hope that gave you a bit of an inside knowledge now what we're actually doing, and you got a bit of a better impression what biodynamic and organic farming is. Now, well, there's much more to it, obviously. I could talk about the biodynamic preparations for probably 2 days. We do workshops which take 2 days to just talk about each individual preparation, which has all the benefits to it. And also what we are doing at BD Farm Paris Creek as an operation and what it's all about. And hopefully you enjoy our products in future. You've got any questions?